Alright. So we are going to start with a slab of clay. Are you ready? So I would love for you to put down your phones, sit up straight, wake yourselves up a little bit. This is going to take less than 10 minutes. Okay? Are you ready? Okay. So you are going to roll out your slab just the way you normally would with 2 slab sticks. The slab sticks are too thick for the platters that we're going to be doing. So once you've rolled it out evenly with the slab sticks, take the slab sticks away and roll it just a little bit thinner. Okay? So the thickness of the clay, not very thick. It's not quite even pinky finger thickness. Okay? Once you've got it rolled out, platters, because they're a little bit larger, there's a platter that I made with Mishima on it, the drawing with clay. In order to keep it flat, they like to warp, they like to twist, and they like to bow up in the middle. So in order to get them to be flat and stay flat and not warp, 2 things. Number 1, even thickness. You can't have thick parts and thin parts. That's definitely going to crack. So, and any crack like this in the clay is going to crack all the way through. So you need to make sure that your clay is rolled out really well. That's just from cutting. And that it's very even thickness. Okay? I know this because the very first time I taught ceramics, my BFF from Lindsay Thurber, we developed the program together, Mrs. McNiff-Wolf. She taught platters first in the semester 1. Every single one of her kids' platters had a crack in it. And so we put our heads together, we were like, okay, so how do we fix this? So we figured it out. Even thickness is number 1. The second thing is we have to use one of these to compress the clay. Okay? Look up here and listen, because you're going to make about 6 of these. At least 4. So you take one of these, once it's rolled out and it's even thickness, you're going to take one of these and you have to put enough pressure on it. This is a plastic rib, silicone rib. It's very flexible and it's meant for compressing. So you're going to compress like this, and you're going to press hard enough that it's actually going to bend your tool this way and this way on the top and the bottom. So this is going to do 2 things. It's going to take all of this dreaded canvas texture off of your clay and make it nice and smooth. But it's also going to take all those particles that are like this right now and make them go like this. So that as it dries, it stays flat. It doesn't want to bow up here and twist here and get all weird. Okay? This slab has been laying out almost all day. I rolled this out before school started, and it was out in the air for at least an hour. So what you're going to do is you've got a bunch of different choices here of sizes and shapes of different platter shapes that you can choose to use. I chose the round circle. I think I'm going to choose this one for my next one. So this is leather hard clay. I can probably get 2 of them on this piece, so I'll just do that. I'm going to place that down with my pin tool. After compressing the clay, I'm going to draw this shape. So there's a bigger side and a smaller side to these forms. Trace the bigger side, and then with your nice sharp fettling knife, and make sure it's straight up and down so you get nice clean edges. Cut out the shape. Okay, now these are leather hard, so I'm not going to wedge those, but if they were softer I would wedge them. Now if you had just rolled that slab out, you don't touch it for like until tomorrow. You want that slab to hold its shape. See how it's not even flopping over at all right now? That's perfect. That's leather hard. Okay, so then once it's leather hard, you cut it out whenever you want, but don't touch it. I'm gonna put this back under the plastic. I've lost. I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna take a piece of paper. This is when it's leather hard. Looking up here, guys. With the piece of paper, I'm gonna run my finger along the edge. This is leather hard clay. Can't do this with soft clay. What this does, it's gonna round off and soften those edges for you. And you have to use a piece of paper. If you don't use a piece of paper, then the clay is gonna kind of ball up under your finger. So that will round off all those sharp edges for you. Okay, and then sometimes I take a sponge with a little bit of water to those edges. I want to refine these edges as much as I can before I do my decoration. You with me? Okay, so that side looks to be the best side. So nice rounded edges, no sharp. Good? With me? Okay, so I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use this round one because I cut something out for this. So now this one's already been prepared, rounded off. It's ready for the technique I'm going to show you. I have a whole bunch of these things. These are silk screens that are silk screened onto tissue paper. And they come in lots of different designs and colors. So here's my chicken. So if I want to, if I just want to do one, I'm going to do this little chicken here. I can just cut that out and use just that chicken, and I can place that chicken onto my plate if I want. But for this one, I'm going to do the all over. I'm going to do one on the entire surface. And basically that's going to end up looking like this. Okay? So it's the clay that we're going to be using too. I forgot to mention. We're going to use a clay called M370. It's a white clay. It looks exactly the same as the M340 clay right now. But when it comes out of the kiln, it's super nice and white. So that when we do our decoration techniques, like Mishima, you don't have to fight with that kind of peachy gray color of the clay. It's a nice white, creamy color clay. So you don't have to worry about that color coming through. And the underglazes come through really well. So this is after being dipped in the clear glaze. Okay? So now, how do I make this flat round thing into a bowl with decoration? So I'm going to put the silkscreen tissue paper. Underglaze transfer is what they're called. This works best on clay that is leather hard and maybe just a tiny, tiny bit wet. Oh, I missed it. There we go. Okay, you guys see that? So I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to wet the back of the paper. So one side of the paper has underglaze on it, the other side doesn't. So the side that's darker is the side that goes face down. And you wet the back of this without making the paper ball up. You wet the back. If your clay is on a little bit of the drier side, you can use one of these. Make sure it's clean to kind of make it bond with the clay. See that? Awesome. Oh, I missed a spot. Oh well. Okay, so the underglaze has come off that whole paper except for those edges that weren't used. Anything is usable, even these little scraps like this. Somebody else might be able to cut out one of those little things and use them here or there on your piece, but other than that, if it's done, it just kind of gets put away. So then you let this dry. Usually I would let this dry for about 10 minutes before doing this, but I know you guys are anxious to not have me talking. This is a piece of memory foam that I cut up. I put it inside a plastic bag for COVID. You don't really need a plastic bag underneath. But basically what I'm going to do is take this form, I'm going to take the small side this time, line it up, and press it into the foam, and that's going to pop the edges up and make a plate for me. This only works leather hard clay. If the clay is too soft, that clay will just fall back down. If I want to, I can then press this down even more. And then just take the form off. And I have a plate. Easy peasy. This little guy was made with a random shape. So instead of cutting out one of these shapes, I cut out a random shape. And I used a jar to push in like that. And that made the bottom of that one. And it gave me, I was able to make it kind of a weird shape. So that is called silk screen underglaze transfer. Okay, sound good?